Well, we meet again. Welcome to No Life. Today, we're nearing the end of the disaster that we'll call 2020. 2021 is upon us. Everyone is excited for a fresh new start, a fresh new year. And it's overall just kind of it's been a weird year. You know, there has been some highlights this year for myself, despite it being a really odd year with the pandemic. In fact, if I think about this year, I would say from around, I don't know, after March to around September, I couldn't tell you anything that happened in that summer. It was just the most boring. It was just dominated by news and dominated by sitting inside. And I couldn't tell you one thing that happened in that summer other than me finding out that I'm going to be having a child, which is pretty big news. But honestly, this year's just been waiting for this child to arrive. And, that's pretty much it. And then working on my other channel, which is my main source of income. But 2021, I'm going to be dedicating a lot more time to this channel. I'm going to be putting in a lot more work into the creative aspect of this channel. I want to start creating content that is a little bit different than the tech and camera gear and gaming content that you're used to seeing. We'll see how it works out. Honestly, this is more of a passion project than it is something that I'm trying to, turn into a career. You know, if it turns into something big, then that's great. But I really just do it because I love making videos and I love tech and gaming and stuff like that. So I really want to I just want to go crazy on this channel. And if it works out, it works out. If not, then what are you going to do? That's just what I want to make. So just be excited for that. If you like tech, cameras, gaming, content creation, cryptocurrency, finance investments, just everything that I really am passionate about, I'm going to be putting up on this channel. Nonetheless, the reason why you're here, the reason you clicked on this video is because I want to talk about some of my favorite things that I've gotten in 2020. In terms of products, this has been one of the best years in recent memory. There's been a lot of excellent products that have come out in 2020. More so than I can remember any other year. I mean, it's really just groundbreaking stuff. And I got my hands on most of it. Like, I was able to get my hands into most of the cool, fun tech that has come out this year. And I'm going to talk about my favorite stuff from this year. So first things first, the PS5. I got a PS5 not too long ago, actually. I got it over in the beginning of December. And I will say the reason why it's one of my favorite pieces of tech this year is because 4K gaming at 60 frames per second on the couch has always been a pipe dream. It's always been, man, I have to bring the gaming PC down there and hook it all up and deal with all that bullshit. And then you have to deal with the mouse and keyboard and the controller shit's not working right. Well, now PlayStation and Xbox Series X, for that matter, allows you to game at that type of fidelity, right? With HDR, 4K resolution, just excellent fidelity at high frame rates. So playing Demon's Souls, playing Spider-Man, that's pretty much it. You know, some of the older games that have been out for PS4 run excellent on the PS5. But 2021, I am so excited to see what next-gen gaming is going to kind of bring. Because if it keeps up at this level, it's really going to give PC gaming a run for its money. I am slowly starting to push away the notion of gaming at a desk, right? Gaming in like that desk configuration and just kicking back up on the couch with a controller. But now you're not compromising fidelity. Now you're not compromising graphical quality. Now you're not compromising anything, really. The only thing that you are compromising, which we'll see if they fix, is that connectivity. So being able to have Discord open and having your iTunes open and having other, like all that stuff. I really wish that the consoles would kind of implement something like that, but nonetheless, I'm very excited for the future of these next-gen consoles. And, there's only a couple of games out right now, but these two games that I've been playing, I mean, they're excellent. They're really, really high quality and just excited for the future of that. Another thing that I got recently, and not really a new thing, but it's new to me, is a DJI RONIN S gimbal. That's right. Why do I need a gimbal when I have a camera with some of the best IBIS? Well, this was on sale on Black Friday for a dirt cheap price. It was like $300 or something like that, maybe even cheaper than that. And it just came with all the bells and whistles, everything you needed with the gimbal. So I figured, why not? I'm probably not going to use it too much. If I can get it at a good price, then I can get it at a good price. Why not? Well, I slowly started to realize that the camera footage that comes from a gimbal allows you to do a lot more different types of shots that you just can't do with IBIS in the camera, not currently. So one of the things that I really like to do is like that parallax type shot where you lock in on a subject and you kind of just go around it, and it just sweeps the background and kind of turns against the subject. I love doing that shot, but when I do that shot with the camera in my hands, you do get, it's just not the same. It doesn't have the same sort of gliding motion. It doesn't have that like smooth parallax look. It does look a little bit like it just doesn't look as nearly as good. And picking up the gimbal, I realized, wow, there's a lot of other shots that I can do that I just can't do with my hands, no matter how good the IBIS is. And that's the problem. It's not the IBIS. It's not the micro jitters. It's more like user input. I can't take a camera and sweep it in the same sort of smooth nature that a motor can give you. And that's why I've really, really enjoyed using the gimbal. And I will say it's fucking tough. I don't know how some of you guys are doing gimbal work so good, but like when you have an R5 on top and then you have an ATOMOS Ninja 5 on the side of this thing, and you're holding it out like that, and you're trying to get really smooth shots, it does become very difficult. But it is a learning experience. Like, you do get better at it. I've already gotten pretty damn good at it. It's just I find it insane that some people are so good at it. I'm just like, wow, I didn't realize how tough using a gimbal actually is. The next thing, speaking of something camera related, is the 16 to 35 RF. This is on the Canon EOS R, which I'm going to talk about at the end of the episode here. But the 16 to 35 RF lens is the best lens I've ever used. It's so versatile. It's so smooth and so clean. And it's just the lens that I mainly use all the time. It's the lens that just gets all the shots that I'm looking for a lot of like content creation stuff. If I ever need to like zoom in on a subject, I have that 35 that I can just zoom all the way in, blow the background out, and I got like a portrait style shot. You can get like a crop in there and get a little bit better of a portrait shot, but I just love this fucking lens, man. Now it does share I would say I use this one about 60%, and then the 24 to 70, which I'm using now, about 40%. But the thing about the 16 to 35 is this is the one that I take with me. This is like the travel one, where the 24 to 70 is mainly in here. It's mainly like the studio stuff. I mean, Canon's lens lineup, if you're not I don't know. Sony's lens lineup is just not nearly as high quality as Canon's is, and it's one of the main reasons why I've basically sold all my Sony gear. Some other stuff, I do have some more camera stuff. A lot of excellent camera gear has come out, but I do want to mention the iPhone 12. This is the 12 Pro Max. The squared off design, the amazing chip, the fucking Apple Pro RAW. The cameras on this, it's the most refined version of that style of iPhone. Anyone who gets this will probably say the same thing about it. And now it's also in like 3 different sizes. You can get the normal size, you can get the mini, you can get the max. It's an awesome. I mean, Apple really did some amazing stuff. I wish I could have gotten an M1 chip this year, but I'm actually holding out on that. This is I have the 16-inch with the latest Intel in it. I got it sometime last year, and I mean, it's still going strong. I really don't need to upgrade, and I really want to get the M1 once they add in that 5G connectivity. I don't know why that wasn't in there and why no one really brought it up. I thought the main point of having an ARM chip in a laptop was so you can always have connectivity, but that wasn't included. So I was like, all right, I'll wait until that's added in there before I jump on board. But I mean, Apple has been doing some extremely impressive stuff recently, and easily one of the more fun companies to watch in 2020. Now, in the same sort of vein as, computers and laptops, the RTX 3070, I was able to get one in a few weeks ago. The jump from the 1080 Ti to the RTX 3070 it was so vast. I didn't realize how vast it was. I thought I was making a compromise by going with the 3070. I couldn't get a 3080. I would have gotten a 3080 if I could have. I couldn't get one. I got a 3070 instead, and I'm happy I did, because the jump from the 1080 Ti, from that Pascal architecture to, what is it, Ampere now. It's immense. The power, the performance is insane on this card. The overclocking capabilities on this specific model, this is the Twin Edge by Zotac. It's pretty good. It's not the best, at least from what I've seen, but I've been able to bump it up quite a bit. And it's insane. So to put it in perspective, Cyberpunk, I was playing that on a 1080 Ti at 1080p, getting around 60 frames per second, high to medium settings, right? That was what I was getting, like a steady 60 frames per second at 1080p. Well, with RTX, I'm able to play at 1440p, ultra settings, with all of the ray tracing features on, with DLSS at 70 to 80 frames per second with no loss in quality from the DLSS. The ray tracing features are stunning. It just gives the image so much more depth, and it just gives it so much more to display. It's truly amazing, the ray tracing features, because it's not just reflections. It's the lighting. It's the way that the lighting bounces. It's the way that it interacts with the subsurface scattering of certain images. It's the way that it interacts with the ambient occlusion. It's the shadows. It's the way the shadows are mapped. All of that stuff just adds so much more realism to the image, and it's just night and day. But the DLSS allows you to get all of that fidelity at higher resolutions. So essentially, it's showing you sort of a downscaled image by using some sort of like machine learning, but it's not like it's not like when you drop the resolution down to 1080. It's just as sharp as a 1440 scene. It's just more in the background, like the parts that you're really not looking at, those kind of get down-resed a little bit, and they do lose a little bit of quality. But all the foreground stuff, all the foreground elements, all the edges are just as sharp as you'd expect with your native resolution. So you just get a huge jump in performance with all of those features on. You know, you could turn all those features off and then you still get like, you know, double the performance from there. But when you turn those features on, it's just, it's awesome. It really, really is awesome. Not only that, but now with the new NVENC hardware that's included in the Ampere cards, video recording and any sort of video processing is so much better than Pascal, than the 1080 Ti's and the 1080s. It's just so much better. So if you are really looking for an upgrade and you haven't upgraded your PC in a while and you're thinking like, I don't know, you're thinking anything else, I would highly recommend you look at NVIDIA's new 3000 series graphics cards, because they're really, really impressive. And you're just going to get such a huge jump in performance, even from like the 20 series. I mean, it's just excellent stuff. And again, like I cannot wait to see what the 3080 Ti is going to look like. And I can't wait to see what the 4000 cards are going to look like. All right. And now my favorite piece of hardware in 2020, I'm sure you guys have guessed it. It's the Canon R5. In my opinion, it's the greatest hybrid camera that has ever been created, that has ever been released. It gives you everything you could possibly need out of a camera. You get top tier in-body image stabilization. You get top tier autofocusing. You get granular adjustments in your autofocusing capabilities. So if it doesn't work for whatever situation, which is hard to believe because everything that I've put it through, it seems to work amazingly. But if it doesn't work for you, you can just fine tune the fucking autofocus to fit exactly any situation that you need. It has excellent battery life. It has so many different video capabilities, but not just the video capabilities. So you get all the good 1080, you get all the good 4K, you get the fucking 8K, you get the 120, it gives you all that. But what I really loved about this fucking camera is the depth that's in these images. So when we're talking about taking photos, when we're talking about recording 4K images, when we're talking about that 8K RAW, there's so much depth and there's so much that you can do with the image that it's just been such a fucking blast to use. And it's the thing that I used the most this year in 2020. I mean, this camera has been on a studio rig, HDMI out into the A10 Mini, recording 3 to 4 hours, 4 days a week throughout the entire year, and it hasn't missed a beat. I think one time during that it overheated, and the reason it overheated was because the day before when I was streaming, I forgot to turn it off. So it was running that entire time for like a day and a half straight of just being on running with the sensor, just running. So I had to turn it off. I turned it off about an hour, and then I went back to stream that next episode, and it overheated after like an hour and a half, maybe even after 2 hours. We were actually going along that day, and then it overheated, and that was the only time I had an issue with it. Everything else has just been phenomenal. If you are someone who is like me, you're an independent content creator, most of your work is digital, you have to do everything yourself. So all the photos are done yourself, all the video is done yourself. I would highly recommend you take a look at the Canon R5 because it's just been such a fucking blast to use. I'm so excited. And then the lenses on top of it, the 24-70 RF, the 16-35 RF. I haven't gotten the 70-200 yet. Just I don't really have much of a use for like longer range, but I do plan on picking it up. But even just like the 24-105, even just like all the old EF stuff that just works so good on there. It's just such an amazing ecosystem, an amazing camera system to buy into, and I haven't been more happy. I haven't been more happy with a camera. And I've been using cameras for many years. I haven't been this, like I have no plans on using any other camera. That's never been the case. That's never been the case. Usually I get a camera and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I love it. But I wish I had this feature. But I wish I had that feature. But look at what Sony's doing. But look at what Fuji's got, you know, this and that. That's not the case with this camera. I've just been like, what the fuck do I need a camera for? I have the camera that does everything. I have the camera that does everything. You know, all the overheating stuff, all of the weird sort of issues that came out in the beginning, they've all pretty much been worked out. You can figure out the camera to work for you. I've never really had to do too many different things to make the camera work for me. But I will say the biggest issue currently is actually like the files. The file sizes, all of that has just kind of really been a pain. So I can't take the images from that camera and shoot them into my iPhone like I can with the Canon R, because Apple's Photos just doesn't recognize it. They're just blank. I can import them to Lightroom and stuff, but in terms of like just utilizing it normally, Apple just hasn't updated their codec or paired up with Canon with their codec. And then on top of that, you have the 422 10-bit, which you just can't run currently unless you have a new M1 MacBook. Thank God that Apple has those M1 MacBooks, because otherwise we would be fucked, because the 30 series they don't encode them, you know, directly. So for me, that's sort of been its Achilles heel, but there isn't many times where I'm using it without an ATOMOS. It really depends on what you're trying to do. You know, when I do travel, I do not use an ATOMOS. I am just taking the camera by itself. And when I bring all that footage back, you know, hundreds of clips of, you know, 10-bit footage, it's a pain in the fucking ass to like ingest all of that and get it ready for editing. Nonetheless, I will say what's really made this tick and what's really made a lot of my gear tick this year has been the ATOMOS Ninja 5. And this has been my favorite piece of tech this year, I would say. The ATOMOS Ninja 5 just changes the game in terms of what you can do with your camera and your gear. Being able to utilize the DNxHR or the ProRes. I mainly just put it on ProRes, but being able to utilize that, being able to record straight to an SSD and then just plug that SSD in like a memory card, that's been amazing. Being able to get 10-bit out of a Canon R has been amazing. Being able to get just like the highest fidelity possible, getting around the overheating issues with the Canon R5. It's been the thing that it's been there. It's just gotten the job done. Nothing has ever went wrong with it. It's very reliable. The display is amazing. And I'm using it right here. I don't know if you can see, but this is what sits on the desk, and where basically everything gets run into there at the end. But being able to just get the most out of your gear, all of the gear, right? Getting the most out of all of your gear, it's just the thing that I've used the most, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about getting a new camera, think about maybe looking at getting an ATOMOS Ninja first, honestly, because even with new cameras coming out, they're like, hey, I mean, I guess ATOMOS is going to take care of all the other shit that we should have put in our cameras, because it does, and it gives you that extra bit of flexibility. It's been a workhorse. It's been amazing, and I couldn't recommend either of them more, right? I couldn't recommend the R5 more, and then the ATOMOS Ninja. But if I were to have to choose one, I'd say you probably should be looking at getting a Ninja before getting a new camera, because it might take your camera that you have now and just elevate it. Like what it does to the Fujis, what it does to the Sonys, what it obviously does to the Canons. It probably helps the Canons the most. And that's what I want to talk about, the EOS R. I still use this camera a lot. For some reason, I love it. I love using this camera. And when I can throw it on an ATOMOS and get 10-bit, or when I can just run it into my iPhone and just drop the footage and it's amazing, super high quality 1080p footage for social media or whatever, or for the website, or even just for YouTube. But right now you can get an EOS R for around $1,000, give or take maybe $100 or two. That is really, really tough to beat. And that is really such an amazing deal for this camera. I mean, like I said, I have an R5 and I still use this camera. This camera is such a beast. It's such a beast. You get an amazing flip LCD. You don't get IBIS, which sucks, but to be honest, the OIS is awesome anyway. You know what I mean? Like you don't get some of like those headline features that we all crave, but there's a reason why I'm still using it, you know? For $1,000, a full frame camera with 10-bit. I mean, you can get the 10-bit with a Ninja. Of course, that brings the price up a little bit. But still, like you have that capability of, instead of getting a new camera, you wanted to improve your image, you can just get a Ninja and that improves your color depth. Oh, I want full frame 4K. Well, you can get one of the new Metabones speed boosters. You can get Canon's new speed booster. And then that turns this into a 4K capable full frame camera with 10-bit for $1,000. I mean, it really is something special. So yeah, that's been my favorite stuff of 2020. As you can see, there's just been such an amazing amount of technology that has come out. You really shouldn't be bored right now. You really shouldn't be bored. You know, it sucks being stuck inside and you can't really see anyone that much, but we do have a lot of fun toys to play with. So yeah, that's it. That's my video. That was 2020 for me. And I just can't wait to show you guys what type of content I have planned for this channel in 2021. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, cool. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Don't forget to head over to the website, nolife.digital. We're going to get updated on everything, and subscribe to our podcast, which we do every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.